when I was up there. I need a little help in how to think about the question of all girls schools and all girls institutions. So perhaps the question is for Mr. Sinha. I think they're a good thing. But I imagine there are, in a scenario with all girls schools, 4 buckets of people. There are women who will self-select into all girls schools who will thrive there. There are women who will self-select into co-ed schools and thrive there. Women who choose one but would rather strive in the, or would have done better in the other, in both cases. And I imagine that the latter two are smaller numbers. I guess it's a good idea to have all-girls schools as long as the number of women who self-select into all-girls institutions is much higher than the number that would otherwise go to school if they had no all-girls options. The question I'm trying to ask is, in your experience, how big is the gap between women who, with the option of an all-girls school, choose to go there and choose to get that education, against the number of women who would opt out if they didn't have that all-girls space to go into, or if they didn't have an all-girls space to thrive in?
I think it's less about just the all-girls piece. So I think you have to understand that you have to look at what I'm trying to do or what I was trying to talk about in the holistic sense of, removing the barriers and doing. So I'm not a big advocate just for all-girls school, and I don't want to go there because I think it's a interesting intellectual debate to have. But honestly, I'm trying to do this for some other reason. I think there are enough instances, though, in this country, in the context of engineering and management education, okay, where there is a huge gap, even today. And the gap primarily stems from the fact that to get into a top institution in this country, you have to be coached, for which you have to spend money. And despite the wonderful examples of fathers that we got, and I think I turned out a way because my father supported my sisters, so I have seen that. I think that parents still don't want to spend the kind of money they would spend on a guy. And I have seen that. I cannot be persuaded otherwise. I can tell you that I have a senior corporate leader who called me the other day, and I hope if this is being recorded, this can be expunged. He has triplets, boy and 2 girls. All 3 got the same education. The boy has got into a US school and he's supporting them, and he's saying, I want to send my girls here because it's too expensive. Now there is a financial argument, obviously. You have to send 3 girls from India to a US 4-year program. It's a significant commitment. But it is so easy for him to say that my boy will go. And this trade-off people are making at all levels, grassroots, rich, poor, backgrounds, and so on. So there is a gap. There's a big gap in professional education in this country which needs to be fixed.
Okay. Oh, another question, and then we'll end with a poem.
Hi, my name is Malika, and the
It's on.
Okay, yeah, so the question is basically that we've been talking about, like Pramad Sinha just said, that about the fact that parents are still hesitant in spending as much money on the girls' education. So do you think we can actually take this back to the patriarchal culture, and we should do something to cater specifically to that? Or are all of these things that we're talking about education are basically working towards breaking that patriarchal bind? Thank you.
So you're asking whether it's as a result of patriarchy and that this is societal, therefore we can do nothing at an individual level? What was the crux of your question?
So all the programs that are there, are they basically indirectly pointing towards breaking the patriarchal bind? That's what I was trying to ask.
I think so, Malika. I think they are. So the answer is not any deeper than that. If your question is as simple as I'm taking it to be, I think we are trying to address the patriarchal culture here.
Okay.
Which is why the patriarchs also make the positive difference when they change their mindset.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Amit Kaur. I'm a scientist by profession at APJ Satya University. I just want to share one thing. I got married when I was just 20 years old, and then I want to complete my studies. But And my in-laws said, okay, you can go ahead, you can complete your studies, and now I'm PhD. So I owe them, like, they allowed me to study, but then something is there, like, they said, ki, if you need to persuade, you have to, if you want to complete your studies, you have to look after the home. If it is well managed, okay, you can go ahead. That was there.
The conditions.
That was the part which I have to push myself so hard. Like, I have to manage the house and go to college, and then I'm a gold medalist also, but something was there. All the night I have to wake up and study, and then in the morning I have to manage the house. Side by side, I deliver 2 kids also. So it was, it was very hard for me, but then I achieved what I wanted to. It took a lot of courage. And now my mother-in-law, she saw, and she wanted to complete her naturopathy because she wanted to write a doctor in front of her name, and she has done it. So no, I'm taking and I'm teaching her also. So these are the some small success stories which I myself have gone through this. It was difficult, but if you are not having any self-confidence, then you cannot achieve in this Indian scenario. That's what I want to tell you, everyone.
Okay, Jyoti, over to you. All right. Suddenly we picked up our second wind here. Yes, one more question over there.
Many important issues have been discussed, and I had also been a career woman. I was a scientist. Always I was in the dilemma, pursuing the career and balancing with the family. Sometimes you are devoting more time to the career than your house gets neglected, your family, they have important events are there, their education, family commitments. And when you are devoting more time to the family than your career, when you are a researcher or whatever the responsible position you are holding. So this is also a very important issue for the career women that also, I don't know what is the solution, but all through my life, I had been going A, B, B, A, and satisfying, no, I am doing well in my career, then I am doing well for my family. So this is also an important issue for the women.
Yeah, I think just briefly, I think that that's the point, is that these aren't just women's issues, they're family issues, because as the wife is trying to figure out how to work, it might be that the husband has to adjust, and similarly, there's many single family parents that are husbands or men that are trying to raise children. So it's not just a woman's issue, it's a family issue that needs to be addressed, and that's policy as well as just social discussion, I think.
So I'll just like to end our session with a poem. This is a poem that I wrote along with my friends when I was just 12. So this is basically our version of the Maya Angelou poem that we did in class called We Will Rise. You may look down upon us because we're from the slums, but we'll rise like educated people and show the world that we can do something in life. You may criticize us, you may stop us from achieving our goals, you may force us to give up, but we will face you and rise. You may treat us badly, making fun of us, teasing us, discriminating us in groups, but we will rise. You may separate us, you may hate us or ignore us, but with love we will rise. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. In spite of the discouraging neighborhood and conservative background, we will rise like the day that comes after every night. You may brainwash us by taunting us, but instead we will learn how to fly in the sky flying high like a bird, in freedom of the light. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise.
Wow. That was really, really inspiring. Really.
Thank you.
Let's go. So there's a little change in the schedule today. So thank you, Dr. Kiri. Thank you for all the panelists. This was really, really a very inspiring session. Thanks a ton. Just to make sure that we start our next session on time, we're not planning to do a tea break just now, but the tea will be served to you in the room itself. I hope that's okay. Yeah? So they're going to serve you in the room itself. So the tea is getting served to you. You want to take 5 minutes to get your cup of tea, you're welcome, but we want to start the session. So can I invite the next moderator?